Yeah, so we have a good number of attendees now, so I think we can start. Uh, so good afternoon, everyone. I'll quickly introduce myself. I am Nitin Yati. I'm a senior TAM in VMware in Mumbai. I'm also the host for today's webinar. So this is our second webinar in the TAM R&D webinar series. The first one was on what's new in VMware Cloud on AWS. And today, the R&D team would be presenting on what's new in vSphere 6.7 U2. So 6.7 U2 is the new release of vCenter Server, and it has got a lot of exciting new features, of which Pushpalata will be talking about today. I'll also introduce Pushpalata. She is from VMware R&D. She's the senior member of technical staff, and she's the presenter today for what's new in vSphere 6.7 U2. She has also presented on the same topic in vMUGs in different regions. So before I hand over to Pushpalata, some basic ground rules that we all should be aware of. So you all would be placed on mute by default. So if you have any questions, use the Q&A window at the bottom, and we'll be constantly monitoring it. We'll also try and have a 5 to 10 minutes of Q&A in the end, where we'll unmute everyone, and then you can put your questions to the presenter directly. The session is getting recorded, so feel free to reach out to your respective TAMs to get the recording after the session is over. So I think I can now hand over to Pushpalata. Pushpalata, you can take over from me.
Thanks, Nitin.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Myself, Pushpalata. I'm from Cloud Platform Business Unit. Today, I shall talk about what's new in vSphere 6.7 Update 2. So, agenda for today, we shall discuss about the enhancements and capabilities that fall under the 3 pillars of the release.
Pushpalata, 1 second. Looks like there is some issue in your screen, on your screen. So we don't see your whole screen. Are you using an extended monitor?
Yeah. 1 second.
Before that, it was fine. I mean, some 5 minutes back. Yeah. It is good now.
Are you able to see it now?
Yeah, we can see it now. Perfect.
Yeah, thank you. So we shall discuss about the enhancements and capabilities that fall under the 3 pillars of the release, that is simple and efficient management at scale, comprehensive built-in security, and universal application platform. So let's quickly see what's in for us under the first pillar, simple and efficient management at scale. As you are already aware that we offer vSphere licenses that range from standard to enterprise that are charged based on the number of cores. We also offer licenses that are charged on a pack of 25 VMs that gets powered on the underlying host for the robo customers, as in remote office, branch office customers. The underlying host count could be as less as 1 host to as many as 10 or more. Since our robo customers required enterprise capabilities, as part of this release, we have introduced vSphere Robo Enterprise as the new highest end edition of Robo, an efficient and secure platform for your remote sites and branch offices. So vSphere Robo Enterprise makes it easier for customers to perform maintenance on remote sites by delivering distributed resource scheduler in maintenance mode. So when I say DRS in maintenance mode, what it does, it automatically moves VM out of a server when it goes offline for maintenance and brings the VM back to the server afterwards. So how is this done? This is done by creating VM host affinity rules internally. So there is a prerequisite for this feature or enhancement to work seamlessly. What is that? It's the vMotion network availability. So when I have to compare this capability with the traditional DRS available with vSphere license, so I can say that DRS in aims at server maintenance only and does not balance workloads based on compute resource availability. So while I compare with traditional DRS traditional DRS will balance the workload based on compute resource availability only. So now, so this is about DRS and maintenance mode. So this capability will only be available with vSphere Robo Enterprise license, and it isn't configurable. That means you can get this feature automatically enabled when you apply this license on the cluster. So customers' data at remote sites is further away from data center, and hence there is a critical need to secure this data. Robo Enterprise helps secure this data through VM level encryption capabilities that protects data against unauthorized access. So with these new capabilities, along with those that were offered in advanced license, vSphere Robo Enterprise enhances business agility and availability while also making the platform secure. So these two are the new capabilities that we have introduced as part of vSphere Robo Enterprise license for this release. So coming to the Converge UI. With vSphere 6.7 Update 2, VMware has announced the deprecation of external PSEs, which appears as a warning message in the installer UI. With VMware vCenter Server Enhanced Link Mode introduced in vSphere 6.7, infrastructure teams can link up to 15 vCenter Server instances in the embedded PSE topology, eliminating the need for load balancers and simplifying architectures. The vCenter Server Converge tool that was introduced in vSphere 6.7 Update 1 enables VI admins to seamlessly migrate topologies with external PSEs to topologies with embedded PSEs. So the Converge tool was actually a CLI-based tool. Since not everyone are available are aware of the CLI-based interface, as part of this release, we have introduced vCenter Server Converge tool UI. So this tool UI actually enables infrastructure teams can now have a pictorial representation of their environment that enables VI admins to make informed lifecycle management decisions. So the UI provides topological and extended view of the relationship between the components such as vCenter Server instances and PSEs, other embedded vCenter Server instances, health checks, and replication status. So this feature or capability delivers an exceptional end-to-end user experience as customers migrate their topologies from vCenter Server instances with external PSE to vCenter Server instances with embedded PSE. So let's see a quick demo of how this is done. So if you see the screen, this is a table view. The table view is a starting point for converging an external PSE to embedded, with a simplistic overview of all VCSA nodes. So when you want to start the converging, so simply select the VCSA that is replicating with an external PSE and then choose Converge to Embedded to begin consolidating. So you are provided with a pop-up window. You just have to proceed there, and then again you're provided with a pop-up window where you are supposed to key in the single sign-on credentials and acknowledge the same, and then you start converging. So the converge operation starts, and once the converge completes, you will be able to decommission the PSE. So I have here highlighted the vCenter Server instances, which is already converged to an embedded PSE. So I now go decommission the PSE once the converge operation is complete. So select the PSE node and say decommission PSE. You are provided with a pop-up window, just say proceed, and then another pop-up window wherein you are supposed to key in your single sign-on credentials. And then the PSE node start consolidating or decommissioning. So when I say decommissioning the PSE, so it actually removes any stale connections with the vCenter server and powers off the PSE node. So what happens here, so once the PSE node is decommissioned, it gets unlisted from this screen, the system configuration screen, as you can see. And if you see the right corner of the screen, you will see a view as topology. So if you click on that link, you will be able to see the pictorial representation of all the components that are involved. So that's about the Converge UI. let's get into file-based backup restore. So based on the feedback from our customers who wanted to use NFS and SMB for file-based backup restore, we have introduced these protocols in addition to the already available protocol options. The addition of NFS and SMB for file-based backup restore now brings the protocol choices up to 7 in total when configuring a VCSA for file-based backup restore. So if you see the top message on the top, that actually tells you the available protocols which can be used for file-based backup restore. So if you see, it is FTPS, HTTPS, SCP, FTP, NFS, SMB, and HTTP. They've also introduced notification and alarms that indicate backup job status, and the alarms are customizable. So when I say customizable, you can go edit the alarms, key in the details whatever needed. As in, let's say you want to get a notification message when there is a say for a success or a failure event of the backup job. So in that case, you can go edit the alarm, key in the email address of the person who wants to get the notification mail, and then save the alarm, and then schedule the backup job. So whenever the backup job is success or a failure event, you will get a notification message. So let's quickly see how the alarms can be customized. So to navigate to the alarm definition, you just have to select the vCenter server, configure, and alarm definition. You're provided with the screen. So in the filter, you just provide the backup job status. So filter with the backup job status. So you will be able to filter the backup job status alarm already defined. So select the backup job status and say edit. So the pop-up window, you just say next. And if you see, the send email notification is currently disabled. So I go enable the send email notification and then key in the email address to which the notification message has to be sent. And then in the next screen, I go review whatever the key in details. And then the alarm is modified. And then whenever we have a backup job scheduled and there is a success or a failure event, you get notified about the same. So that is about the new protocol and the notification and alarm for the file-based backup restore. So for the vSphere Health, with certain, say when certain health check alarms were triggered, it was admins who had to verify and categorize them as storage, network related, etc., and reroute those to the concerned team for rectification. As part of this update release, health checks are now grouped into one of the 4 health categories. That's on online availability, compute, network, and storage, making admin's life easier. So this new grouping feature allows for a simple, organized view of all vSphere health checks. As new health checks are added, they will be easy to identify by categorization. So if you see the screen, there is a message, warning message, which is actually the notification alarm that we have introduced for vSphere Health. So you can go acknowledge or reset the alarm to green. So the next screen, actually, I will tell you how to navigate to the health check categories that are available. So select the vCenter server instance, monitor, and then the health. You are provided with all the health categories that are available as part of this update 2 release. So if you see, there is also a warning message under the compute health check category that is getting displayed. So that's about the health check categories. So now coming to the content library, the enhancements or capability under the content library. Until 6.7 U1, OVF and ISOs could be synced with other content libraries, but not syncing of native VM templates was not available. So now syncing of native VM templates between content libraries is available when vCenter server is configured for enhanced linked mode or hybrid linked mode. Published libraries can now become subscriber aware, allowing newly published items to replicate to other subscribed content libraries. A publish option is also available when viewing the VMTX template or from the subscription tab of the local library. So the screen here shows a published content library, and there is a publish tab in the publish option in the subscription tab of the content library. You can also see there is a subscribed content library to this publisher. So when I say publish, So all the VM templates in the library will be published to the selected subscription. So now this screen actually shows a VM template wherein you have an option to publish this VM template. So whenever we publish the publisher, so all the subscribed content libraries will be able to sync all the templates and OVFs and ISOs. So that's about the content library. So coming to vSphere client, Developer Center now includes Code Capture and API Explorer within the vSphere client. API Explorer was previously located at the URL http vCenter server fqdn/API Explorer since vSphere 6.5. This update brings API Explorer into the vSphere client, which removes the extra authentication prior to interacting with the REST API. So let's assume that you are trying to automate certain workflows for your environment, and you want to try out some APIs before actually using them in the automation. So API Explorer will actually help you do so. You can browse through the available REST APIs and execute them on the current environment and see how it works. Regarding the code capture, let's say you already automated some workflow, but that workflow is behaving a little different compared to how the UI is behaving. So you want to identify what is that API that UI is invoking differently than compared to your workflow. In that case, you can start the code capture and then perform operation on the vSphere client, and then see what are those Power CLI APIs that are being invoked. So this is about the code capture. So where you can start the code capture, perform the operation, and see what are those Power CLI APIs. So that's about the code capture developer center that includes code capture and API Explorer within the vSphere client. So we have a few other enhancements for the HTML client to make it similar to Flex client and making it more simpler for the customers to use. We have attach, check compliance, and remediate all in one screen for update manager. We can even attach and remediate multiple baselines at the same time. Then we have introduced new remediation options like disconnect removable devices, enable quick boot, and skip vSAN health check. I assume many of you have vSAN clusters in your environment and you try to upgrade the host under these clusters. So why is this skip vSAN health check needed? So let's assume that if the customer is using custom baselines with VMware ISO, the exit maintenance mode of the host may fail if any active inbox driver is not in HCL database. In that case, you can skip the vSAN health check in order to have a smooth upgrade. So basically, if you don't skip the vSAN health check, this will require manual intervention to complete upgrade and can potentially break rolling upgrade. So that's about the features under vSphere client, or the UI enhancements. So this brings us to the end of the features under the first pillar, that is simple and efficient management at scale. So let's quickly summarize the features that we just discussed. So we have Converge UI under vCenter server architecture. We have new protocols, NFS and SMB, and notification and alarms under file-based backup restore. We have health check categories introduced under vSphere Health. We have syncing of native VM templates under content library, and then few UI enhancements under vSphere client. Apart from this, we also had the vSphere Robo Enterprise license introduced as part of this release. So let's look into the second pillar, that is comprehensive built-in security. As per the Gartner's report, we know that we end up spending a lot more on making our environment secure than what we are spending on IT upgradations, and still we basically were having security threats and losing money. In the effort of making vSphere more and more secure, we have been delivering multiple features like App Defense, VM Crypt, encrypted vMotion, and now in continuation, we have some more security features that have been introduced. Let's quickly walk through what are those features that are there in the security front. So while we have talked about lifecycle improvements already, there are some that are noteworthy on the security front because it means that customers can achieve the security and compliance goals more easily with less time and effort spent. New guest OS means native improvement to security and patching. With Windows Server 2019, you can enable virtualization-based security, device and credential guard, and virtual TPM modules to improve native Windows security. This is done very easily with a single checkbox in the VM configuration. You must be aware that Windows 2008 R2 will be end of support in less than a year. So as you're making 2019 templates, it's a great time to turn these things on. So you can add security by default to your workloads just like we do with vSphere. Update Manager has had numerous improvements around firmware updates, vSAN behavior that is not taking host out of maintenance mode if they were in maintenance mode. These make it easier to update an environment, which means customers will be able to be secured from new vulnerabilities faster and more reliably. Similarly, DRSMM makes updating smaller clusters a breeze. Host profiles have had some issues fixed that should help customers, including some issues with deleting the primary management VM kernel interface. App Defense Guest OS modules are now included or comes integrated with VMware Tools distribution, making it easy to manage their life cycles for vSphere Platinum customers. Speaking of App Defense, on the vSphere Platinum front, the App Defense SaaS Manager portal also received some major reporting updates. There are new process burn down charts, so VI admins can tell when the time is right to transition from discovery mode to protection mode. There are new summaries about the process reputation and a nice integrity check status display. App Defense has also added the ability to adjust allowed behavior automatically by adapting to security events that have been classified as normal. This ability to automatically declassify alerts and dynamically adjust the allowed behavior reduces ongoing operational overhead and helps improve efficiency. So there are new classes of monitoring events to help customers distinguish between deviations from discovered behavior and observed malicious behavior and allows customers to focus on high priority issues first. So these are the improvements for vSphere Platinum customers for the App Defense thing. Finally, VMware has submitted vSphere, ESXi 6.7 Update 2 for NIIP or Common Criteria Evaluation. So the evaluation and certification process has number of steps and can take time, but then it represents VMware's ongoing commitment to baking security into our products, making them secure by default and having third-party verifications that we have done it right. So this is important not only to governmental customers, but positively impacts all of the vSphere customers that we have. Okay, now for the security announcements. As part of NIIP certification, vSphere 6.7 Update 2 adds account password history limit to in ESXi. So now you can meet compliance guidelines with the local ESXi user. We still urge people to use the much more robust permissions available in vCenter. There are big improvements to both SSO and vCenter logging, including more verbosity around authentication events, permission changes, and certificate management. All of these logs are also sent out to remote log collectors, such as LogInsight, if vCenter is configured to do so. Certificate management gets easier in vSphere 6.7 Update 2. There are big improvements to the APIs for ESXi, especially around the generation of certificate signing request. This allows automation of most of the certificate lifecycle on ESXi. vCenter is also picking up some of these capabilities with new CSR generation options for the machine certificate protecting vCenter and the platform service controllers. The CPU vulnerability situation continues to evolve, and VMware continues to find new and better ways to help our customers from these hardware issues. So before I get into what's in there for the CPU vulnerability as part of this release, I would like to look into the two schedulers that were already available until update 1. First is the default scheduler. This default scheduler has no inherent security awareness, but it is the most performant. It should be assumed that all workloads running on the host with default scheduler can see each other's data. The second one is a side channel aware scheduler version 1, which implements per process protection, which assists with L1TF and MDS vulnerabilities and is the most secure, but can be the slowest. So as you all might be aware that L1TF vulnerability exposed a problem where processors can leak information between two threads on a core in an Intel CPU. The original ESXi side channel aware scheduler version 1 helped protect us by not allowing the use of threads and thereby mitigated the problem, but it incurred a cost in CPU capacity. So as part of this release, there is a new type of side channel aware CPU scheduler which safely re-enables the use of hyperthreading CPU architecture. We call it the sibling scheduler, and it allows processes from the same VM to run on sibling CPU threads. So this gets us some performance back, but moves the security boundary to the VM itself. So when I compare the version 2, which is available as part of update 2, with version 1, which was available until update 1, so version 2 uses hyperthreading while version 1 doesn't use hyperthreading. And with version 2, we are able to retain up to 90% performance for heavily loaded system, while with version 1, we were able to retain up to 70% performance for the heavily loaded systems. So this is about the capabilities under the second pillar, that is comprehensive built-in security. So let's get into the last pillar, that is universal application platform. We've got more performance for multiple applications. So by introducing support for 40 and 100 gigabyte Ethernet that enabled more network-hungry applications and distributed computing, vSphere 6.7 Update 2 brings a new VM compatibility version, namely VM compatibility 15. This version is only supported with host running vSphere 6.7 Update 2 and doubles the number of supported vCPU per guest VM to 256. This is a customer-driven request and targeted at compute-heavy workloads such as SAP HANA. So this brings us to the end of third pillar and to this talk, that is what's new in vSphere 6.7 Update 2. So for more information, you could visit the vSphere blog, and the vSphere Central links are provided in this slide. And any questions, I'll be happy to take. Thank you.
Thanks, Pushpalata. So I don't see any questions. There was one question which I tried answering. The question was, for file-based backup, do we need any agent installed on the VCSA?
No.
So we don't need any agent, right?
Yes, we don't need any agent.
So Abhishek has got a question. Cores versus socket, we can define in the earlier versions with ESXi 6.7. Will cores versus socket option will be removed along with NUMA? So in the vCenter, you have an option to define how many cores do you need and how many virtual sockets do you need. So he's trying to ask that, is that option still there in 6.7 U2, or they have removed it along with NUMA?
In vCenter, we can define cores versus sockets. So have they removed it as part of this release? That is what the question. No, I don't think they have removed. No.
Okay.
Yeah, but we can confirm this one.
Sure. So Abhishek, as far as we know, it is still there, but then we'll still confirm you on this. Somebody has raised a hand, Niranjan. So guys, if you have any questions and if you want to directly ask the presenter, you can unmute yourself and ask if you have not put the question on the Q&A.
Reclamation. There is a question. Is there a feature for space reclamation? Can you please explain on that one? I don't understand what you mean by space reclamation.
So I think they mean to say with earlier versions of vSphere, when you provision VMs as thin provision VM decays, then a lot of space, dead space, is not reclaimed automatically.
Okay.
So is that, do we have any enhancements around the dead space reclamation?
VMFS 6 is self-reclamation. That is what we know.
Right.
So,
I think it automatically does that using unmap command.
yeah.
So Vinayak, it is there. I think it is there after 6.5. So that is not new feature in 6.7. After 6.5 with VMFS 6, we can automatically reclaim the dead space. Okay, I don't see any question in the Q&A window. So again, guys, you can unmute yourself and ask questions if you directly want to ask the presenter, or you can also put that in the Q&A window. If we don't see any new questions in the next 1 or 2 minutes, we are good to close this webinar.
I think they're asking for the presentation PPT.
Right. Can you give that in the PDF format, if not PPT?
Yeah, that is possible. We'll do it.
So Pushpita, I also had a question.
Yeah.
So when you were presenting on the Converged UI, the Converged tool,
Yeah.
So if a customer has got multiple platform services controllers and the PSCs are behind a load balancer, then also can they use Converged UI to consolidate all the PSCs into embedded, or how does that work with multiple PSCs?
Yes, with the load balancer also we can use this UI to converge.
Okay. So if there are multiple PSCs, one of the PSC will get converged into embedded and the other one would get deleted, in case you know about it.
So Nitin, so these all PSCs will be behind a load balancer and will be having same configuration and will be replicating to each other, right?
Right.
So while you're doing a converge operation, you just need to provide your load balancer IP. And once so what it does, it creates a backup of the PSC data and puts it onto the vCenter server while converging. And then you have to manually power off the PSC. So for vCenter, there is no PSC, it is all the LB.
Right. Got it. Yeah. So I think no more questions in the Q&A window, no more questions on the chat. So we are good to close. Thank you very much, Pushpalata, for this wonderful session. It was pretty enlightening, at least for the customers who want to move from external PSCs to embedded PSCs and also want to use the latest features of vCenter server. Like most of the customers are not using content library till date. So this was pretty enlightening. Thank you very much for your time. Do you have anything that you want to say before we close this? Or Ajay, if you want to add something.
No, I think so. This session is one way of approaching or reaching out to the customer in terms of spreading awareness. But if some of you wants another session in terms of anything, you can always get back to Nitin and he can forward that request to us.
Right.
Specific topics, or if you want to go in detail about embedded nodes or things like that, we can always help. And also, if you want to upgrade your environment, we also provide some assistance and do the design review in terms of how things should look like post upgrade. So free to ask us anything, or Nitin, via Nitin, so we'll be able to help you guys.
So as Ajay said, we are also running a TAM R&D program wherein we are helping the TAM customers to upgrade their infrastructure. So if you have any upgrade requirements and you want to upgrade to the latest version, reach out to your respective TAMs. They will then reach out to me, and then I'll try and collaborate with R&D to help you guys upgrade your environment. Yeah, so that's it. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining the session.
There are some questions in the Q&A window.
Okay, yeah, so 2 more questions.
Content library. Uday has asked the last question. Does content library templates are visible in vCenter inventory?
Content library templates are visible in vCenter inventory.
It will be available. It will be visible in the content library, not in the inventory.
Right. Right.
Is it possible for you to declare next session's topic so that we are prepared about it? And I think this is a question for you, Nitin. Sunil has asked one question.
Okay. So most probably the next session would be on what's new in vSAN 6.7. And if not vSAN, then maybe we'll also we'll try and see if we can have a session on what's new in enterprise PKS. So these are the two sessions that we are trying to have for the next webinar. Perfect. Yeah. So no more questions. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I'll send across the recording to your TAMs, and feel free to reach out to your TAMs to get the recording.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Nitin.
Thanks, Viplata. Thanks, Ajay.
Bye, guys.